Hello and good evening, friends, and welcome to the Week 12 edition of Strictly Sports NFL Saturday. I am your host, Anthony Florio. I am joined, as always, by good old MF Michael Fletcher. Maybe awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. I'm not sure. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll have him back with us on Monday night for Ridiculously Raw. But, yeah, a lot of stuff to get into here, a lot of news, a lot of disturbing news coming out today because of what else? COVID, and especially in Denver, that's very disturbing. But we'll get into that. We'll address that elephant in the room when we get to it. But for right now, we had two Thanksgiving games that were played this just the other day. We had the Houston Texans squaring off against the Detroit Lions, and the Houston Texans won that game by a score of 41-25. Deshaun Watson had 318 passing yards for 4 touchdowns and no interceptions in the win, led by former Notre Dame standout Will Fuller, 6 catches, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns in that win. Defense played very well. They recorded 4 sacks and a pick six by the heart and soul of that defense. You know who I'm talking about, number 99 himself, J.J. Watt. He took that thing to the house, and that's how they got up and running. And a very impressive win for the Houston Texans. For the Lions, Matthew Stafford, solid game, 295 yards, a TD, and a pick. Adrian Peterson, at least for this game, looked like he discovered the fountain of youth, 55 yards and 2 touchdowns in the losing effort. Mohamed Sanu had the receiving touchdown. Lion defense recorded 2 sacks of their own, not bad, and that was it. But unfortunately for the Lions, this loss cost their coach their job. It was announced earlier today that Matt Patricia and general manager Bob Quinn have been fired, and offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell will be assuming head coaching duties for the rest of the season for the Detroit Lions. So, very disturbing situation for Detroit. And then on the other side of the coin, we had the Washington football team against the Dallas Cowboys. The Washington football team, absolutely impressive, 41-16. Star of this game, hands down, it was Antonio Gibson, the running back, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns in the win. Any fantasy owners who have him, you're very happy. That's all I can say on that. And Alex Smith didn't have to do much, 149 yards, a TD, and a pick. McLaurin had 92 yards receiving to lead the way. Defense did very well. They recorded 6 sacks on the day and an interception. I think they had a pick six of their own by Montez Sweat, and that was all Washington needed. Andy Dalton, 215 yards, a TD, and a pick. Amari Cooper, 112 yards receiving and a touchdown. And 3 sacks for their defense and an interception of their own. And it was a long day for the Dallas Cowboys, and so much so to the point where our own Derek Ferreira went on a very profanity-laced tirade the other night, and unfortunately, he took it. He definitely took it a bit too far, but thankfully, he did apologize for his outburst, and of course, some of the things he said were a little too far. I mean, we get the frustration, but he went a little too far, man. So, but thankfully, he has apologized for that, and all is forgiven, and everything else is fine. So, thank goodness for that. So, but in all seriousness, though, Houston, nice win. Detroit's heading in the wrong direction, and Patricia's not their guy. And 13-29-1 in his few years there. And we'll see about Darrell Bevell. I mean, he's a great offensive mind, but we'll have to wait and see if he can right the ship in Motown. Washington, for the moment, they have taken over first place in that horrific NFC East, but it depends on how Philadelphia does on Monday night against Seattle. We'll get into that shortly, but man, great day for Washington to say the very least. Antonio Gibson, I mean, they found their running back of the future, and first first guy to have a 3-touchdown game against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving since Randy Moss, the Hall of Famer in '98. So big moment for that young man. So great wins for Houston and for Washington. But MF, a long day for the two traditional Thanksgiving hosts, Dallas and Detroit. Very long days for both on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It was definitely a very long day for both teams, no doubt about it. Probably a little more longer for Dallas than it was for Houston, for Detroit. A lot of the times, Detroit loses the Thanksgiving game. It's been a long time since they've won one, but Dallas is a team that a lot of people felt like going into the season there was aspirations about the Super Bowl. A lot of times, a lot of people thought that they were a legitimate contender, a favorite to go all the way. And all of a sudden, they've really fallen on hard times, as you can say. And I don't know. It just seems like they're not what they're used to be. Maybe it's the injury of Dak. It's the injuries, obviously. Dak Prescott going down, injured, done for the year. That puts a lot of pressure and onus on Ezekiel Elliott. And up to this point, they haven't delivered. And the defense, that was very stout, very powerful, really good, has been a shell of themselves. Not even that good at all. So, yeah, it's been a rough season, no doubt about it. And it's not getting any easier. So, nothing more to say, Anthony. Let's just move right on along.
Yeah, and Dallas has to play the Ravens next, and we'll have to see how
Well,
that goes.
depending on how, if we do get if
This game,
Lamar Jackson is available, because of he's got listed with COVID as well. But if he's unavailable to play, maybe Dallas has a puncher's chance here.
well, we'll see. So, but in all seriousness, though, let's get into the first game of the Sunday portion. Well, the remaining non-Thanksgiving schedule here. We started off on our side of the ledger on CBS. This is our number 5 game of the week. I ranked this at number 5. We have the Las Vegas Raiders squaring off against the Atlanta Falcons from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, Melanie Collins on the call, and the spread favors Las Vegas by 3, and the series history is tied at 7-7 because the Falcons have won the last 4 meetings in a row with the Raiders, including the last one in Atlanta, which was 2012, and Atlanta won 23-20. The Raiders have not won in Atlanta since they were the Oakland Raiders back in 1997. That's the last time the Raiders won in Atlanta. That was at the old Georgia Dome, as you know. So final score there was a wild one, 36-31. So it's 7-7 when it comes to the Raiders and the Falcons all time. So with that being said, let's dive right on in. You know the routine, what to watch for, bold prediction, stat to know, fantasy, the betting nugget for all you gamblers out there, and the FPI and the score and all that. So here we go. What to watch for. The Raiders proved once again that they can hang with the reigning Super Bowl champs in a thrilling 35-31 loss to the Chiefs last Sunday night, but it was still a loss, and now Las Vegas can't afford many more of them in a tight race for the AFC wildcard spots. The Raiders need to take advantage of a matchup against the Falcons, who have been much more competitive than their record suggests. Bold prediction, the Raiders pass rush will get to Atlanta quarterback Matt Ryan for at least 3 sacks. Las Vegas' lack of a pass rush has been an issue. 11 sacks, ranked 31st in the league, but Ryan took 8 of them last week against New Orleans. Recent signees Vic Beasley and Takaris McKinley, both former Falcons, will provide much-needed scouting reports on Atlanta. Stat to know, Ryan's 82 total QBR since week 6 is the 3rd best in the NFL over that span. He began the season with a 61 total QBR over the first 5 weeks, which ranked 21st in the league. What to know for fantasy? Raiders tight end Darren Waller is adding upside to his stable fantasy base. Over the past 2 weeks, he is averaging 12.5 yards a catch, up from 7.9. Betting nugget, Las Vegas has covered 6 of its past 7 road games, 4-1 against the spread this season. Vegas, slight FPI favorite, 52.3% going with Las Vegas. I'm going with Las Vegas to win as well. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Vegas wins. I'm going to go 31-30. Las Vegas steals one in Atlanta. So MF, I mean, we saw them last Sunday night in that beautiful new Allegiant Stadium. I mean, they gave the Chiefs fits as we expected, but Mahomes and company just too much for the silver and black. So Raiders, if they want to have any chance at a postseason spot, they got to start getting some wins here.
Absolutely. This is a must win. There's a lot of teams right now that's kind of lumped together in the AFC, and with 7 spots up for grabs, this is a must win for the Raiders. They got to turn it around. That game against Kansas City, that was a rough game, but you know it was incredible. That battle was awesome. I think they will turn it around. I just feel like they're hungrier. They want this. So for me, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna say the Raiders win as well. So Anthony, let's just move right on along.
All right, MF, you'll be leading off our next matchup, which features the Los Angeles Chargers squaring off against my team, the Buffalo Bills, from Buffalo Bills Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. And we're going to be getting this game on our local CBS affiliate, WPRI 12. The legendary Greg Gumbel will be there with Rich Gannon and Jay Feely. And Buffalo opening up as a 4.5-point favorite. No surprise there. And the spread, well, the series history actually favors the Chargers by a count of 24-10 with 2 ties. Matter of fact, the Chargers have won the last 4 meetings in a row against Buffalo. That's very discouraging to hear for Bills fans like myself. Last meeting was in Buffalo 2 years ago. Chargers won that 31-20. The Bills have not beaten the Chargers overall and in Buffalo since 2008. That was a 23-14 final back in those days. So MF, Buffalo, 7-3. They lead the AFC East by a game. They got a very gritty and tough Charger team coming in. Justin Herbert playing out of his mind right now. But the question is, though, can Buffalo keep winning and keep holding on to that slim lead in the East?
I know this is a tough game. Look, the way I see it is the Chargers are going to give Buffalo fits. They give everybody fits. But the thing is that this is one of those situations where, look, if the Chargers puts it all together and plays a complete game, they win. But I just don't see it. I don't think that they do. I just, when it comes to Buffalo, defensively, they're a lot more better. Offensively, what we've seen up to this point is an explosive team that can put up points at will, especially at home. So for me, I gotta go with Buffalo to win, and I think they're gonna continue their hot streak. But I don't think there's anything more to say. So Anthony, I give this to you. I got Buffalo winning the game.
Yeah. I forgot to mention this is our number 4 game of the week. This came in at number 4 when it comes to our side of the ledger here. What to watch for? The Chargers rank 3rd in the NFL in total offense and will be the 5th team in the top 5 in that area to play the Bills this season. Buffalo has allowed on average 454 yards of offense and 31 points in its games against the other 4 teams, going 2-2. Bold prediction, Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert will have another huge day, passing for more than 300 yards and establishing himself as the player to beat for Offensive Rookie of the Year. He already has 5 games of 300-plus yards passing this season, and the Bills are allowing a middle of the road 238.7 a game. Stat to know, the Bills enter this game coming off a bye week. They have won 5 straight games following a bye, tied with the Tennessee Titans for the longest active streak in the NFL. What to know for fantasy, week 3 was the last time Herbert failed to finish a game as a top 10 fantasy quarterback. The potential of the rookie gets the attention, but for fantasy managers, his high floor is just as appealing. Betting nugget, the over is 8-2 in Buffalo games this season, tied for the highest mark in the league. Buffalo is the FPI favorite, 73.4%. I'm going to go with my team in this one. It's going to be very close though. I think the Chargers will give us major fits, especially Herbert, but I think Buffalo will eke it out. I'm going to say 30-24. Buffalo beats the LA Chargers. So not much really more to say on that one. So now we're going to move on to one of the Zonk game of the weeks, and it's on the other side of the ledger, thank goodness. Although we do have a Zonk game of the week of our own. But for right now, the next one we're going to get into is the New York Giants squaring off against the Cincinnati Bengals from Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati. This game will be over on Fox, and it'll be Kevin Kugler with Chris Spielman and Laura Oakman. They will have the call for that one. And the Giants are opening up as 6-point favorites. Cincinnati leads the all-time series 6-4. Their last meeting in Cincinnati was 2012. Cincinnati won it 31-13. Interesting tidbit here. The New York Giants have never won in Cincinnati. Never. But that might change here, especially with the disturbing news, of course, coming out of Cincinnati last week in their loss to the Washington football team when their star quarterback, Joe Burrow, suffered a very nasty injury that sidelined him for the rest of the season. So it's going to be major hard times for the Bengals here. So here we go. What to watch for: Cincinnati is playing its first game of the season without rookie quarterback Joe Burrow. And the other options on the depth chart, Ryan Finley and Brandon Allen, who is getting the start, it's Allen, are not nearly as potent as the 2020 top overall draft pick. The Giants are looking to win their third straight game and stay in the mix to win a woeful NFC East. Bold prediction: the Giants will win despite 2 turnovers from quarterback Daniel Jones. It doesn't matter that they are 0-5 this year when he commits 2 or more turnovers. This time, the Giants are the better team. They will be able to overcome the miscues, coming off 2 clean games for the first time this season. Stat to know: the Giants are seeking their first 3-game winning streak since 2016. They are the only NFL team without a 3-game winning streak in the past 4 seasons. What to know for fantasy: Cincinnati receiver T. Higgins led the team in targets from Finley last week after the Burrow injury, but it is Tyler Boyd who has more experience with the backup, as he saw 21 targets in 3 games with Finley last season. Betting nugget: the Giants have covered 8 straight road games, including all 5 under their head coach Joe Judge this season. Giants are the FPI favorite, 54.8%, just about 55%, going with the G-Men to win this game. I'm going with the G-Men to win as well. My final score, 24-10, the Giants all over Cincinnati, in Cincinnati. So not much more to say. MF, Giants looking for their first 3-game winning streak in 4 years to keep pace in that dreaded NFC East, whereas the Bengals, unfortunately, they're back to being the Bungles now that they've lost Joe Burrow for the year. What a hard, whoa, wow.
Yeah, it was a bad loss. That was a horrible injury, no doubt about it. I got to go with the New York Football Giants as well. I think the Giants will get the job done. I don't think there's anything more to add, Anthony. So let's just move on right along.
All right, we'll do MF. And excuse me. Next up, let's see what we have. All right, back to our side, and this is one of our games of the week right here. Our number 3 game of the week right here. Although we could make an argument to make this number 2, really. I mean, because we got 2 teams that are tied with 7-3 records, and first place in the AFC South is on the line when the Tennessee Titans square off against the Indianapolis Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, Evan Washburn, they will be on the call for that. And Indianapolis opening up as a 3-point favorite. And just a couple short weeks ago on a Thursday night, these 2 teams met on a Thursday night in Nashville, and it was the Indianapolis Colts that came away with a humongous win, 34-17. And with that win, it added to Indy's series lead. It's now 35-16 in favor of Indianapolis, and it gave the Colts their 3rd straight win in Nashville. But the Titans won in Indianapolis last year, 31-17, and the last time the Colts beat them at home was the year before, 2018, 38-10. So MF. I have this listed as number 3. I mean, should we consider moving this up, or is number 3 the perfect spot for this AFC South first place game?
I kind of feel like this is number 2 now. I feel like this is a number 2 game because of the fact that with the latest news that happened, I kind of feel like this should move up. So I think this should be
Okay.
number 2.
All right.
I could
So
even
drop.
make an I could
Yeah.
even make an argument that this should be the game of the week because, with it being both identical records, both teams have been looking good. I mean, big wins on both fronts on either side because Tennessee, holy cow, an overtime win over the Baltimore Ravens, and
Yep.
then Indy.
Oh,
Oh, you want to talk about upsets? They knocked off Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
indeed they
Holy
did.
cow. So, I mean, we'll see. I don't know how it's going to play out, but yeah, at the end of the day, I'm going to say that I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. I like them at home. I think they definitely did really well the first time around. So for me, I'm gonna go with Indy. I think Indy's gonna pull it off. So give me the Colts to win this. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. Excuse me. Big game here. I mean, first place in the line here, and but at the same time though, I mean, Mahomes and Brady. I mean, at the
Yeah,
end
true.
game,
No, true. Very true. Very true.
yeah.
No doubts.
So yeah, but and nationally televised on top of that. So
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
yeah, I'm just saying. But all right. So but this is now number 2, correct?
Yep, number 2.
And Baltimore and Pitt drops down to 3 now.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'll take care of that later on. But for right now, our now number 2 game of the week, this battle for first place in the AFC South, and here's what we need to know. What to watch for. It will be all about the Colts defense versus Titans running back Derrick Henry. Henry has individual bragging rights against the Colts' stingy defense because he has topped 100 yards rushing in each of the past 2 meetings. That is not easy to do. Bold prediction, Henry will rush for 125 yards against the Colt defense that is allowing only 89.2 yards on the ground a game, third in the NFL. Henry is the only back to gain 100 or more rushing yards against the Colts in the past 2 seasons, and he'll get his third consecutive 100-yard day this week. Stat to know, per the Elias Sports Bureau, the Colts could become the first team to win 3 straight games. Wow, listen to this. Listen to this number, MF. You're not going to believe this. Per the Elias Sports Bureau, the Colts could become the first team to win 3 straight games against opponents with a 700 or better winning percentage this late in the season, week 10 or later, since the 1970 Detroit Lions. Wow.
Wow.
50 years. Unbelievable. And Detroit, that's back when they were good. A win also would give them their best record through 11 games since starting 14-0 in 2009. Gee, I wonder what happened that year. Oh, yeah, they went to the Super Bowl that year, but they lost.
Yeah, but we
They
all
lost.
remember. Yep, exactly.
They lost to the New Orleans Saints, and that was a night we'll never forget. But what to know for fantasy, Tennessee wide receiver Corey Davis is coming off his third 100-yard performance of the season and has quietly scored at least 11.7 points in 7 of 8 games this season. Betting nugget, when quarterback Ryan Tannehill starts regular season games for Tennessee, overs are 17-3, including 8-2 this season. FPI, Indianapolis is a slight FPI favorite, 52.3%, but I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts to win this game. It's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be more exciting than the last one was. But I got Indy winning for the sweep here. And if they do win this, it would end up being their second sweep in 3 years because they swept the Titans 2 years ago. So let's keep that in mind. So, but I got Indy winning this one. I think it's going to be another high scoring affair. I'm going to say 31-27. 31-27. Indy beats Tennessee. Should be a fun one, though. It's a shame we're not getting it on our affiliate, but it is what it is. We'll hear about it. So, but anyways, let's get into this next matchup here. see what we got here. Okay, this is one of the Zonk games of the week on our end. This is our number 7 game of the week here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this one. Former divisional rivals squaring off as we will see the Cleveland Browns square off against the Jacksonville Jaguars at TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, adjacent to Daly's Place, home of AEW, including that humongous show coming up on Wednesday, which we're all excited about. It'll be Spiro Ditas and Anna Marcelletta. They will have the call for that one. And the spread favors Cleveland by 7. 7-point spread for the Browns. Jacksonville leads the all-time series 12-5. Jacksonville's won the last 3 meetings against the Browns. Their last meeting in Jacksonville was 2014. Jacksonville won going away 24-6. The Cleveland Browns have not won in Jacksonville since 2008. That was a 23-17 final. So the Browns and the Jags up next. Our number 7 game of the week. The second to last Zonk game, the penultimate Zonk game of the week. There's only one game that's actually worse, but here we are. What to watch for? The Jaguars' best chance for success is to get running back James Robinson going. He is on pace to break Dominic Rhodes' record for most yards from scrimmage by an undrafted rookie and has been the Jaguars' lone bright spot on offense. If the Browns, who rank 8th in run defense, can limit Robinson, they should be able to tee off on Mike Glennon, who gets the start at quarterback for Jacksonville this week. Oofa. Even though they won't have edge rusher Myles Garrett. It could be another long day for the Jaguars QB, or QBs rather. Bold prediction: after failing to throw a TD pass over 3 games for the first time in his career, in large part due to inclement weather, Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield will bounce back with 3 touchdown throws in Jacksonville. Stat to know: the Jaguars are the only team in danger of being eliminated from playoff contention in Week 12. The New York Jets already eliminated. Gee, I wonder why. Which can happen with a loss. A 10th straight loss would mark the longest losing streak within a single season in franchise history. The Browns, meanwhile, are seeking to match their best 11-game start to a season in the past 30 seasons. 8-3 in 1994, when some coach named Bill Belichick was coaching him. I heard he turned out pretty good. What to know for fantasy? James Robinson leads the league in carry share this season and is coming off his first game with both a 15-plus yard rush and a 15-plus yard catch. Betting nugget: Baker Mayfield is 1-5 against the spread in his career as a road favorite, 2-4 straight up. Cleveland is the FPI favorite, 65.7%, just about 66% going with Cleveland. I'm going with Cleveland to keep this winning train going. 28-14, Cleveland knocks off Jacksonville. Keep in mind, if Gardner Minshew was playing, I would have said 27-21. But considering it's Mike Glennon, who is, 28-14, it's going to be Cleveland. So, MF, could you imagine Cleveland, a win here? They'll be 8-3 for the first time since '94, and they went all the way to the divisional round that year. Encouraging sign for Cleveland fans.
They have a very good chance of making the playoffs. For the first time in forever, we could see Cleveland playing past January. And that is remarkable. For them to play in January in the postseason, that's a feat among itself. For the years of futility, for the years of failure, for the years of letdowns, Cleveland, you got yourself a football team this year, and this is a remarkable run that they're putting on. All your key horses are playing good. You know, when you got Nick Chubb, you got Kareem Hunt, they're playing great. Odell Beckham Jr., yeah, he's like Jekyll and Hyde. Some games he plays great, other games not so much. Jarvis Landry, same way, Jekyll and Hyde. Baker Mayfield has had a very good season. Not a great season, but a good, solid season. I think they're going to win it. I think they're going to get the job done. Give me the Cleveland Browns as well, Anthony. They're going to go 8-3, and keep a close eye, especially wild card, because if they keep winning, they're in it as of now. They're in there. They're in the top 7. They could a win will definitely cement them even closer. Nothing more to say. It's yours.
and I'll say this, MF. I've been looking over. I was looking over to see when was the last time the Cleveland Browns made the playoffs. They haven't made the playoffs since the 2002-2003 season. January of 2003. That's the last time we saw the Cleveland Browns play a postseason football game. And it was against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it was that wild and crazy wild card game. I mean, one of the greatest wild card games in history at Heinz Field. And man, that was one of the craziest games we ever saw. But that's the last time we saw the Browns play January football. So, but this would be their best start since '94, which, as we all know, they went to the divisional round that year, but they did lose in that divisional game. So, but definitely things looking up for the Cleveland Browns and their fans, and it's about time. So, I mean, they've been in as long suffering as me and Buffalo Bills fans. But nonetheless, let's move on here. We have up next the Carolina Panthers squaring off against the Minnesota Vikings. That will be at US Bank Stadium in Cincinnati and in Minnesota. Almost said Cincinnati for a moment, but it's in Minnesota. Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Shannon Spake, they will be on the call for that one. And Minnesota opening up as a 3-point favorite. Minnesota leads the all-time series 8-6. Carolina won the last meeting in Charlotte 2017. That was a 31-24 final. And believe it or not, MF and I had that game. I remember that very vividly. A rare NFC game, but we had it, and it was a fun one. Last meeting in Minnesota was 2014. Minnesota won 31-13. Carolina's last win in Minnesota was the year before, 2013. That was a 35-10 beatdown at the Old Dome. So MF, Carolina, good news. Teddy Bridgewater coming back. But the big question is, how does Minnesota bounce back after that embarrassing loss to Dallas last week? That's a game they should have won.
Should have been a game they should have won, but I don't know. I mean, I think they will bounce back. I mean, that was a bad performance, no doubt about it. At the end of the day, Carolina's still, they're kind of struggling. They don't got all their horses yet. If they would have had all their horses, I think this goes a lot more different. But I just feel like right now, it's not going to happen. So I got nothing more to say. Anthony, it is all yours. I got Minnesota beating Carolina.
Agreed. Let me just find my notes on this game here. All right. What to watch for? Will Minnesota wide receiver Adam Thielen suit up for this week? The Pro Bowler was moved to the reserve COVID-19 list on Monday, though it's unclear whether he tested positive for the coronavirus or was deemed a close contact, the latter of which would increase the likelihood of him playing against Carolina. Thielen is coming off his best game of the season, 8 catches, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and leads the NFL with 11 receiving touchdowns. He would be sorely missed if he's unavailable tomorrow. Bold prediction, Panthers quarterback Teddy Bridgewater will pass for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns in his return to Minnesota as a starter for the first time since he suffered a horrific left knee injury during the Vikings' 2016 training camp. Minnesota ranks 26th in the NFL in pass defense, giving up 260.7 yards a game, but has allowed no quarterback to top 300 yards in the past 4 games and only 3 all season. Stat to know, Vikings running back Dalvin Cook's 13 rushing touchdowns this season are tied for the most in the team's first 10 games in the past 10 seasons. Todd Gurley with the LA Rams in 2018. The last player who had to have 14 plus through 11 games was LaDainian Tomlinson for the then San Diego Chargers in 2006 with 21. What to note for fantasy? After going over 17.5 fantasy points in 4 or 5 games to open the season, Panthers receiver Robbie Anderson has been held under 15.5 in every game since. Betting nugget, all 5 Minnesota home games have gone over the total this season. Minnesota is the FPI favorite, 68.9%, right around 69% going with Minnesota. I'm going with Minnesota as well. Close game. I'm going to say 27-24. Minnesota bounces back from that embarrassing loss to Dallas. That's a game they really should have won as far as I'm concerned. But, it is what it is. So 27-24, Minnesota beats Carolina. Next up on the docket, one of the Fox doesn't have many exciting games, but this is one of the few exciting games, maybe the most exciting game on their side of the ledger right here. We got the Arizona Cardinals squaring off against the New England Patriots at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Kevin Burkhardt, Gerald Moose Johnston and Pam Oliver. They will be on the call for that one. And just trying to find it here. Okay. Arizona opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. The series history is tied at 7 apiece. It's 7-7 between these two teams. Their last meeting in Foxborough was 2012, and Arizona went into Foxborough and stole that one 20-18 in what was the biggest upset of that 2012 season. Last time the Patriots beat the Cardinals at home, it was 2008. I remember this game very vividly. It was a snow game. New England all over Arizona, 47-7. So, but Arizona won the last time in Foxborough, 2012. So interesting to know. So, this is the pseudo game of the week for Fox, if you will. So let's get into it. What to watch for? The Cardinals lead the NFL in accepted penalties with 79, while the Patriots have the fewest in the league at 36. But the Patriots are coming off a rare 7-penalty game and a loss to Houston, which could be a sign that things are headed in the wrong direction for them. How much does the penalty discrepancy show up on Sunday? Bold prediction, Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray will make up for his injured right shoulder with his feet. He'll run for 125 yards, a career high, as the defense-minded Bill Belichick will be forced to pull out all the stops while trying to slow the young phenom. Stat to know, Arizona's DeAndre Hopkins leads the NFL with 912 receiving yards. He is seeking to become just the 5th Cardinals player in the Super Bowl era with at least 1,000 receiving yards through 11 team games, and the first since his teammate Larry Fitzgerald did it in their Super Bowl year of 2008. What to know for fantasy? Cardinals receiver Christian Kirk has as many 20-point fantasy games this season as he does games with 8 or fewer fantasy points, 3. Betting nugget, Arizona is 5-2 against the spread in games starting at 1 o'clock Eastern time in the Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray era. Arizona, slight FPI favorite, 51.8%, right around 52% going with Arizona. I'm going with Arizona to win. I think it's going to be a close game, exciting game, but I think Arizona will eke it out here. 27-24, Arizona beats New England. So not much more to say. MF, the pseudo game of the week for Fox, if you will. Arizona in New England at Foxborough. I think this should be a good one.
It should be a good one, and I think it will be an interesting game, no doubt about it. I disagree with you, Anthony Florio. I'm going to go with the New England Patriots to steal it. Because of the fact is that, for one, a lot of people are kind of disrespecting New England. This is those kind of games that when nobody thinks New England's going to win, these are the games that they get. These are the games that they sneak up out of nowhere and they bite somebody. They're now in a position where they're not in playoff contention, but they could ruin a team's season right now. They're dangerous in that aspect. And still, it's the Patriot mystique. Strong defense. You know, if Cam Newton plays okay, he doesn't have to be a home run player, but if he plays decent enough, if the running game is established, if they start doing the same thing, and they probably got a little bit of a blueprint from, and they probably got a blueprint of that game based off of what they've seen from Miami and what Miami did to Arizona, and for most of what Buffalo did to Arizona, except for that ending of the game with that Hail Murray type play. So with that, you kind of start to think that New England is a strong enough team that they might be able to get the job done. I'm going to go with the New England Patriots to pull the upset and steal it on Arizona. So, yeah, first disagreement of the night. Anthony, I got the Patriots winning. It's yours.
All right, fair enough. I could see it. I mean, it is Foxborough. I mean, it is still a tough place to win, but, you know, we'll wait and see. So, the final 1 o'clock game, and it's our Zonk game of the week here. But I know this is one time MF's not going to care because it's his team. The Miami Dolphins squaring off against the winless New York Jets at MetLife Stadium in the Meadowlands. They're the winless team, so that's automatically the Zonk game of the week. MF, is this the first or second meeting between these two?
Second meeting because Miami won the first one earlier in the year.
Okay, so this is the second. Alrighty. So with that, Miami won at Hard Rock Stadium earlier this season. So because of that, they cut into the Jets series lead. The Jets still lead the all-time series, but it's now 55-53 with a tie because of the Dolphin win in Miami. So
it was a 20-0 shutout, just to let you know.
20-0. Okay.
Yes.
So but the but a little cause for concern here though, MF, because the last time they met in New York last year, the Jets stole one, 22-21. So we'll see what happens. But the Dolphins last won in New York in 2018. That was a 20-12 win. By the way, Andrew Catalon, James Lofton, and AJ Ross will have the call on that one. And Miami opening up as a 6.5-point favorite. So MF, your Dolphins are cutting into that series lead. I mean, a win here would get them to within one. But here's the thing, though. I think you should bounce back here. The Jets, we all know, they're the worst. But MF, I mean, I got to be honest with you. What happened in Denver? What was that?
That was a trap. That was a trap, and we fell in it like hook, line, and sinker. We underestimated the Denver Broncos, and I'm glad that we could get this out of the way. We underestimated Denver. We thought that we were going to roll in like we've always done and just dominate. And the next thing we know, we got smacked. Yeah, we ran into a buzzsaw. That's what happened. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. We got our butts kicked. That was embarrassing, and it was a horrible performance. Miami absolutely got stomped, and we got stunned. So yeah, that was a bad performance by Miami. Tua had a subpar game. Our defense got lit up. Offensive line failed us because Tua got sacked like 4 times. It got so bad that they pulled him out of the game because of that. And they went with Ryan Fitzpatrick at the end. Now, unfortunately, it got bad to worse for Tua. Tua Tagovailoa suffered a thumb injury on his throwing hand. Unable to play. He will not play tomorrow. They just made the announcement that Ryan Fitzpatrick will be the starter for the Miami Dolphins as they go up against the Jets. But again, it's the Jets. Miami smacked them 24-0. That was back on October 18th. I do believe Miami will turn it around. They should turn this game around. Offensively, look, we just had a bad night. I think that was just Denver's D was just so good. Like I said, we underestimated the Denver Broncos, and we deserved to lose that game. I think Miami is going to have a renewed confidence. I think they're going to have a renewed energy, and they're going to be focused now more than ever before because of the fact that loss really hurt Miami. It knocked them out of the playoff picture. We're in it, but we're now on the outside looking in. So we need this game more than ever. We cannot afford another loss. We cannot be thinking about the next week. We got to think about the here and the now. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no more margin for error when it comes to the Miami Dolphins. The one game where we needed, where we're like, okay, we're allowed maybe one mistake. That's the one mistake we were allowed. No more after this. Now, we can't afford another screw up. So Miami will come out. Their defense is mad. They know they embarrassed themselves last week. They know last week was a horrible performance, and they cannot afford another bad week like that. They got lit up. Denver made themselves right at home. They dominated the skill of play. The running attack for Denver absolutely destroyed the Dolphins. I mean, Melvin Gordon lit them up for 2 touchdowns in the game. Tim, offensively, I mean, we were horrible, horrible. I mean, listen to these numbers, Anthony. Listen to these numbers. This is shocking. Miami's defense gave up 459 yards in the game. 270 through the air, 189 on the ground. That does not help. That will not win you any games whatsoever if you're the Miami Dolphins. Plus, you got to clean it up as well, especially offensive line. You gave up 6 sacks in that game. You cannot do that. That is unacceptable, and you cannot afford those kind of mistakes. So Miami will come out with a renewed confidence, with energy and fire that we probably will not have seen all season long. I think the Dolphins are going to make an example out of the New York Jets. They're going to tell the world what happened last week was a mirage. Watch out, Miami is coming for blood, and they're going to destroy the Jets tomorrow. MetLife Stadium is going to be ground zero for a massacre in Manhattan for me, Anthony. Dolphins win, and they're going to win big. They're pissed.
And they have every right to be. I mean, that loss was, I got to say, even more embarrassing than Minnesota losing to Dallas. I mean, that was the most embarrassing loss of the week. Honest to goodness, that's a game that you boys should have had no trouble with. But you said it on the show. You said it. I mean, the game was in Denver, and you always say how tough Denver is, and you ended up being right about it. So, but no, I mean, come on. What to watch for? The Jets will face a rookie quarterback for the second week in a row. It can't go any worse than it did last week against the Chargers' Justin Herbert, who passed for a season-high 366 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Miami's Tua Tagovailoa does not have as many playmakers as Herbert has at his disposal. Then again, the Jets are so young and bereft of talent that it wouldn't be a surprise if they struggle again. Or in this case, we probably should have said Ryan Fitzpatrick, but that's who I have on my notes here. Bold prediction, the Dolphins won't allow the Jets to score a touchdown. The Jets are averaging an NFL low 15 points a game, but have scored at least 3 touchdowns in each of their past 2 games. The Dolphins showed their defensive prowess in their first meeting in Miami, getting a shutout, and they'll duplicate it with another strong performance in a bounce-back game this Sunday. Stat to know, Miami has forced a turnover in 16 straight games dating to last season, the longest active streak in the NFL. A 17th consecutive game would match the longest such streak by the Dolphins since 2000-2001. What to know for fantasy? Jets receiver Brashad Perriman has turned 20 Joe Flacco targets into 50.7 fantasy points. In a small sample size, that rate, 2.54, ranks in the same breath as DK Metcalf from Russell Wilson in Seattle, 2.41, and Devontae Adams from Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, 2.34 this season. Betting nugget, Miami is 16-6 against the spread since its Week 5 bye last season, the best mark in the league. Miami, FPI favorite, 66.6%, right around 67% going with Miami. I'm going with Miami as well. Final score for me, I think the Jets might score, but I think Miami's going to be a lot. It's going to be too much. I'm going to say I'm going to go 24-13. Miami beats the Jets, bounces back from that embarrassing loss in Denver last week. And speaking of the Denver Broncos, oh boy, did you hear about this? But we'll get into the elephant in the room in just a moment. Denver Broncos, they're back. They're right back at home at Sports Authority Field in Mile High. They're going to be hosting the New Orleans Saints. 4:05 kickoff on Fox. This is the first of the late games now. We have Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Lindsey Zarniak on the call for that one. New Orleans opening up as a 2-touchdown favorite. New Orleans is a 14-point favorite. And Denver does lead the all-time series 9-2. Denver has won the last 5 meetings in a row with New Orleans, including the last meeting in Denver, 2012. That was a 34-14 beatdown. The Saints have only won in Denver once. That was back in 1994, a 30-28 final at the old Mile High Stadium. But we got to address the elephant in the room here. The Denver Broncos don't have a quarterback. I'm not kidding. I'm sure you heard the news today. Their starter, Jeff Driscoll, he tested positive for COVID. And all their other quarterbacks have been deemed ineligible because of all of them coming in close contact with them. So no Drew Lock, no, and I don't know who the others are, but Drew Lock's out. I think there's a Brett Rippon. I think he's out, and I think there's one other. All their quarterbacks ineligible. And from what I've heard, Coach Vic Fangio has said that the emergency quarterback is their running back, Royce Freeman, out of the University of Oregon. So major hard times for the Denver Broncos. So, but nonetheless, though, we got to talk about it. So here we are. What to watch for. With his injury-ravaged defense, how will Broncos coach Vic Fangio keep Saints quarterback Taysom Hill in the pocket and make him at least a little uncomfortable when he is going through his progressions? Fangio has made life somewhat difficult for young quarterbacks in the first time they face his defense. And while Hill is no rookie as a player, he still has just 41 career pass attempts, with 23 of them coming last week against Atlanta. Bold prediction, Hill and running back Alvin Kamara will each throw their first career TD passes. Why not? The Saints used Kamara in some wildcat formations last week while getting creative during quarterback Drew Brees' absence, and he is 1 for 1 in his career throwing the ball. Hill, meanwhile, had 2 rushing touchdowns, but no passing touchdowns in his first career start at quarterback last week. Stat to know, the Saints are one of 4 teams with 5 or more games of 15-plus quarterback pressures. Tampa Bay, Kansas City, and the LA Rams. They had 18 against last week against the Falcons. What to know for fantasy, Kamara has only 1 game this season with 15-plus carries, making the first zero-catch performance of his NFL career last week with Hill under center that much more concerning in terms of sustaining fantasy excellence. Kamara was a top 10 running back in each of his first 9 games this season. Betting nugget, since the start of last season, New Orleans is 6-0 against the spread and straight up without Brees. Teddy Bridgewater and Hill were the fill-ins, despite being an underdog in 4 of the 6 games. New Orleans is an even 69% FPI favorite. New Orleans wins this thing, and I think they're going to – my initial score was 26-20, but I think that's going to change now because of the fact that they don't have a quarterback. So I think it's – I wouldn't be surprised if they pitch a shutout here. I'm going to go 26-0, New Orleans, all over Denver. So, MF, I mean, Denver, no quarterbacks. What are they going to do?
Yeah, when I heard this, I instantly was thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, are they really gonna play this game? Why don't they postpone this? Push this back another night. Give the Broncos a fair chance, but they're saying no, they gotta play it. Oh man, this is tough, man. This is almost a no-win situation. I don't even know what to even say. I feel bad for Denver. This is a tough situation, and I'm gonna say New Orleans wins, and they're gonna win this going away. This is a laugher. Florio, it's yours.
The other 405 game, I need to know, MF, it's another divisional matchup. San Francisco 49ers, Los Angeles Rams. Is this their first or their second?
I believe this is their second. I believe. Hold on. I'm gonna check right now. I believe this is their second. Yes, their second matchup. The 49ers won the first matchup 24-16 back on October 18th.
Okay. So there we have it. And by the way, that game was at Levi Stadium.
Yes, it was.
So the other 405 game, it is the San Francisco 49ers squaring off against the Los Angeles Rams. This will be at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood over on Fox. Chris Myers, Greg Jennings, Brock Heward, and Jennifer Hale, they will be on the call for that one. The Rams opening up as 6.5-point favorites. And like MF mentioned, these teams already met before. That was in San Francisco, and the 49ers won it by a score of 24-16. So so the series history still favors the San Francisco 49ers, and they add another win to that. So their lead has now been extended. It's now 71-67 with 3 ties in favor of San Francisco with that win in San Francisco last week, which is their third straight win against the Rams. Niners won in LA 20-7 in last year, and that was at the Coliseum. The Rams' last home win over the Niners was 2018. That was a 48-32 final. So MF, hard times for the Niners. The Rams, they're coming off that big win over Seattle, and question is though, can the Rams keep it going and keep pace in that very contested NFC West?
Man, this is gonna be tough. What? Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think the Rams are gonna win this game. I think they're gonna keep. I think they're gonna keep the hot momentum going on their way, and I see them going to 8-3. So I got really nothing more to add. Anthony, I'll give it to you.
You got the Rams, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I got sidetracked for a moment. So all right, here we go. What to watch for? The Rams have lost 3 straight to Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, who effectively shut down the Los Angeles offense in a 24-16 Week 6 win this season in San Francisco. The Rams' defense has been stout, but their offense must find a way to execute against a shorthanded 49ers defense that has not only kept the pressure on quarterback Jared Goff, but has also slowed the Rams' ability to run in their most recent 3 matchups. Bold prediction, Rams defensive tackle Aaron Donald will have at least 2 sacks. The Niners neutralized Donald in the first matchup with a strong outside running game and quick-hitting passing game. But the Rams will be better prepared for that approach this time, and the 49ers are still working with moving parts on the interior of the offensive line. Donald hasn't had a sack in the past 2 games, but he'll make up for it here. Stat to know, the Rams have allowed 4.7 yards per play when sending 4 or fewer pass rushers, the 3rd lowest average in the past 15 seasons. The 2008 Pittsburgh Steelers and the 2019 New England Patriots, the others. Opposing quarterbacks have a 34.6 QBR when the Rams send 4 or fewer, lowest in the NFL. What to know for fantasy? In each of his past 3 games, 49ers receiver Brandon Ayuk has produced as a top 20 fantasy receiver. Betting nugget, San Francisco is coming off a bye, while Los Angeles is coming off a Monday night game. Since 2017, teams coming off a bye are 2-9 against the spread against teams coming off a Monday game. Rams are the FPI favorite, 53.9%, just about 54% going with the Rams. I'm going with the Rams to win this one as well. 28-17, Rams over the Niners. So not much more to say except it's time for the game of the week. Perhaps the most anticipated game of this season so far. Your reigning, defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, the home of Super Bowl 55, 425, nationally televised. The whole country's getting it on CBS. Hello, friends. Yes, Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, no surprise. They're going to have this one. And Kansas City opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. Tampa Bay, though, leads the all-time series 7-5. Matter of fact, the Buccaneers have won 5 straight meetings with the Chiefs, including the last one in Arrowhead, 2016, 1917, the final for Tampa. Last meeting in Tampa was 2012. Tampa Bay all day in that one, 38-10. Kansas City has not won in Tampa Bay since winning in the old Tampa Stadium, as Chris Berman called it, the old sombrero, 27-3, all the way back in 1993. And that's also the last time they beat the Bucs overall. So here we go, folks. The game of the week, and maybe the game of the year up to this point. What to watch for? The Chiefs' pass defense may be looking suspect in recent weeks, but the Bucs defense just gave up a season-high 376 passing yards to the Rams, mainly due to missed tackles and coverage breakdowns. The Buccaneers are also allowing a 69.2% completion percentage against the blitz, fourth worst in the league, and getting picked apart in their zone coverages. It could be a long day against the defending Super Bowl champs, although Tampa Bay quarterback Tom Brady has shown that he can bounce back after tough losses. Bold prediction, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes will combine with Brady for at least 6 touchdown passes. The two, despite playing in some high-scoring head-to-head battles, have never combined for more than 5 in a game. But the Chiefs are playing poor pass defense as of late. They allowed 5 touchdown throws in the past 2 games. Mahomes has 11 touchdown passes in the past 3 games. Stat to know, Mahomes has a 98 QBR when blitzed, the highest of any quarterback in a season since QBR was first tracked in 2006, and has thrown 10 touchdowns to 0 interceptions when facing the blitz. He has been blitzed at the second lowest rate in the league, 20%, but Tampa Bay sends extra pass rushers at the second highest rate, 42%, and has forced the most interceptions, 7 with its blitz. What to know for fantasy? Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill's best 3 performances this season have come in his past 3 games, 85.9 fantasy points in those games. Betting nugget, Brady is 10-1 against the spread and 9-2 outright as a home underdog in his career. Kansas City, the FPI favorite, 56.4% going with Kansas City. I'm going with Kansas City as well in what should be a very fun and high-scoring game. 31-28, Kansas City steals one in Tampa. And who knows, that may not be their first time there this year. You never know. We could see them again come February. It's very possible. So there's not much more to say. 31-28, Kansas City wins in Tampa. So MF, as we always say here, when we have a game of this magnitude, this is the main event. This is the main event. It don't get no bigger than this. Chiefs and Bucks, the Phil Simms to my Jim Nance. Do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game. This is a big one. This is a big battle, no doubt about it. Everybody knows what this game means for both teams. This is pride. This is honor. For Tampa, this is the measuring stick. If you knock off Kansas City, this makes you a legit threat in the NFC. You know, to knock off a team like this we have a lot of people talking about maybe that you guys are in the mix, that you guys deserve an opportunity. We'll go from there. Then you have a team like the Kansas City Chiefs that wants to roll on, continue what they've been doing all season long. A win here virtually cements them as the top team in the AFC. Obviously, Pittsburgh is the team that everybody's looking at because they're undefeated. But if you want that 1A, 1B, this is the 1B in Kansas City if they get the job done. But the problem's this. Every time there's a big matchup or a big game, especially this year, Tampa has answered the bell. So for some reason, remember the last big game was Green Bay versus Tampa in Tampa, and Green Bay got stomped. Anthony, you alluded to it, that all of a sudden the defense of Kansas City has been pretty suspect. Brady knows how to exploit defenses like this. I'm sorry, I disagree. I gotta go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs and win this game. It's going to be high scoring, I agree. But I think Tampa will make enough plays that's going to knock off Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is great, and he's incredible. But I do believe that Bruce Arians and his defense will have a couple of surprises ready for Mr. Mahomes and that high-powered offense. For me, I gotta go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to steal it on Kansas City. Nothing more to say. Anthony, let's go to the Sunday Night Football game.
Yep, and we have 3 games left, and we have primetime games the rest of the way. And we started off with the game that I'm going to now consider the default game of the week in the NFC. And why not? Because, well, it's only the oldest rivalry in the history of the game. Let's not kid ourselves. And maybe the greatest of all time. The Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers from the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Whoa. Sunday Night Football on NBC. And it's not who you think it's going to be. It's going to be Mike Tirico, Tony Dungy, and Catherine Tappan. They're going to have the call for this game. Green Bay opening up as a 9-point favorite. Green Bay leads the all-time series. Listen to these numbers. 98-94 with 6 ties. That's a lot. Green Bay swept the season series last year, including the win in Lambeau, 21-13. Matter of fact, the Packers have won the last 4 meetings at Lambeau against the Bears. Chicago has not won at Lambeau since 2015. That was a 17-13 final. All right, MF, the oldest rivalry in the NFL, the Bears and the Packers, their first meeting this season. Their other meeting will be week 17 in Chicago, but this one's at Lambeau. And the news came out today that your boy Mitchell Trubisky, he's going to be starting. What do you think of that?
You know what? It's good that Mitchell is going to be starting. That's pretty cool. That's a big deal for him. But that's not going to matter, especially with Green Bay. Green Bay's mad. They got embarrassed last week. They lost to Indianapolis. They are going to come out there and look for blood this time around. I got the Green Bay Packers knocking off the Chicago Bears. Anthony, it's yours.
And it's because Nick Foles is battling a hip injury. That's why Trubisky is starting in this one. So just to let you know. So here we go. What to watch for? It probably doesn't matter who starts at quarterback for the Bears as long as Aaron Rodgers starts at quarterback for the Packers and finishes the game. Rodgers and Brett Favre have dominated the Bears. They have a combined record of 41-15 against them as members of the Packers. And Rodgers comes in hot, having thrown 16 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions in his last 5 games. Bold prediction, the Bears' beleaguered offense will score 3 touchdowns against the Packers. Forecasting even a modicum of offense success for the Bears is the definition of a bold prediction. The Bears' offense ranked at or near the bottom in virtually every statistical category. Last scored 3 touchdowns in a game in week 3. To say the Bears are due is an understatement. They had an extra week to prepare for the Packers too. If the offense can't get its act together for this one, it never will. Stat to know, Chicago's defense is limiting opponents to an NFL-leading third down conversion rate of 33.3% this season. Its lowest mark since 2007, 32.7%. The Packers offense, meanwhile, ranks 4th in third down conversion rate at 47.9%. Its best mark since 2011, 48.1%. What to know for fantasy? Rodgers rattled off his 5th straight game with more than 21 fantasy points in last week, but he has failed to reach even 14.5 fantasy points in each of his past 3 meetings with the Bears. Betting nugget, Green Bay is 5-0 against the spread after a loss under coach Matt LaFleur. Green Bay, 68.9% FPI favorite. Green Bay wins. I'm going to go 27-15 Green Bay over Chicago. So not much more to say here. Let's move on to Monday Night Football. This would normally be our final game of the week, but it's not. It's our penultimate game of the week. We'll get to that in a moment. Monday Night Football on ESPN. It'll feature the Seattle Seahawks squaring off against the Philadelphia Eagles from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Steve Levy, Brian Griese, Louis Riddick, and Lisa Salters will be on the call. And Seattle opening up as a 5.5-point favorite against the Eagles. No surprise there. And the spread favors, the series history favors Seattle. Seattle leads the all-time series 10-7. They met twice last season. They met in Philadelphia last year. As a matter of fact, including playoffs, Seattle has now won 6 consecutive meetings with Philadelphia, including the regular season and playoff game last year. The Eagles have not beaten the Seahawks at home. Last time the Eagles beat the Seahawks in their home stadium, they weren't even in Lincoln Financial Field yet. They were at the old Veterans Stadium. That's the last time it happened. You got to go all the way back to 1989. 1989, the last time the Eagles beat the Seahawks at home. That was a 31-7 beatdown at the old vet. So that's the last time it happens. So but Seattle has absolutely dominated this rivalry, one-sided. So here we are. What to watch for? Seahawks receiver DK Metcalf erupted for 7 catches, 160 yards, and a touchdown in the wild card playoff win over the Eagles in January. Philadelphia has since added cornerback Darius Slay, who will likely be assigned to Metcalf for much of Monday's game. Eagles defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz noted that Slay has had success in the past against bigger receivers, but that handling Metcalf would be a great challenge for the defense. Bold prediction, the Seahawks will rush for 200 yards. They rediscovered their running game last week against Arizona with Carlos Hyde returning from his 3-game absence, and they expect to have starter Chris Carson back against Philly after he missed 4 games. Coach Pete Carroll talked about their win over the Cardinals, about how the Seahawks need to run the ball more than they did earlier in the season when they were leaning on Russell Wilson and the passing game to carry their offense. Jumping out to an early lead will make that a viable game plan on Monday night. Stat to know, Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz leads the league in both interceptions, 14, and fumbles, 10. Only 5 players have finished the season as league leader in both categories since the 1970 merger. Blake Bortles in 2015, John Kitna in 2007, Dante Culpepper in 2002, Dave Craig in 1995, and Joe Ferguson in 1977. What to know for fantasy? The Seahawks are allowing 24.2% more wide receiver fantasy points a game than any other defense this season, and could prove to be an elixir for a receiver like Travis Fulham, who has nearly as many targets over the past 2 weeks, 12, as he does yards, 16. Betting nugget, Wentz is 3-7 against the spread as a starter this season, tied with Deshaun Watson of Houston for the worst against the spread record this season among quarterbacks with 10-plus starts. Seattle, 61.2% FPI favorite. I'm going with Seattle to win. I'm gonna go 28-20. Seattle beats Philadelphia on Monday night. So not much more to say. MF, your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually agree. I think Seattle's going to win as well. Philly is just bad. Philly's just bad all the way around. Yeah, nothing more to say. Seattle wins. It's Anthony, final game.
Yeah, usually the Monday night games are final, but not this time. We have a rare Tuesday night game. Matter of fact, this is our second Tuesday night game this season. Now, originally, this was supposed to be our game of the week here, but so many things have happened, and unfortunately, it's knocked it all the way down to our number 3 game now. The Baltimore Ravens squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. This game will be broadcast Tuesday night. It will be nationally broadcast on NBC, and this is their second meeting. They just met a few weeks ago in Baltimore. That was MF and I's first game back after all of our big commitments, as you all know, with the Stanley Cup, the NBA, and the World Series, as you know. Pittsburgh won that game very closely in Baltimore. And because of that, Pittsburgh now adds to their series lead. Pittsburgh leads the all-time series now 26-23 and snapped a 2-game losing streak to the Ravens because the Ravens swept both meetings last year, including in Pittsburgh. Matter of fact, the Ravens have won the last 2 years in Pittsburgh. Ravens won in Pittsburgh last year, 26-23 in overtime, and 26-14 in 2018. The Steelers last beat the Ravens at home, 2017. Who will ever forget it? It was one of the greatest Sunday Night Football games in history, 39-38, in a game that I believe won the Steelers the division that year. So, all right, MF. Now, as you all know, hang on. Do you have a spread, MF? I don't have a spread on my sheet here.
Let's
I would
see.
imagine Pittsburgh's got to be the favorite.
I do believe it is. Actually, no. I got an NA on both. So yeah, no rate, no line.
Actually, hold on. I actually just came across this. I went into the game itself, and they're listing Pittsburgh as an 8-point favorite now.
Okay.
Pittsburgh's now opening up as an 8-point favorite. I think we all know why. COVID mania. Oh my goodness, COVID mania has ran wild. This game was originally supposed to take place on Thanksgiving night, and then it got pushed back to Sunday at 1:15. But then it got pushed back yet again. It's now going to be 8 o'clock prime time Tuesday night. and it's the second time this season we have had this. You remember back in Week 5, Buffalo and Tennessee got pushed back to a Tuesday night. So, but boy, oh boy, MF, COVID mania, oh my goodness, it has ran wild, especially on the Ravens side. So much so that their MVP, Lamar Jackson, he tested positive. So many others have tested positive. But
15
Pittsburgh,
Ravens. 15 Ravens
oh
has
my
been
God.
affected by the COVID in with Baltimore, and yeah, and even Pittsburgh has
They-
gotten
they
has
lost a big
gotten
one. They
snake
lost
bit. Yeah,
James Conner.
James Conner, their running back is out because of COVID as well. So yeah, absolutely.
So the big question is, who wins this battle of the mash units? Can Baltimore finally bounce back? I mean, Baltimore has been struggling
Yeah,
since we last saw them in Indianapolis. I mean, we saw them in Indianapolis a few weeks ago. They played great, but since then, they've come up snake eyes, especially that tough loss to Tennessee. But can Pittsburgh stay undefeated despite all this?
I think they can. I think Pittsburgh will, and I think that they'll win the game. Look, Ben Roethlisberger is probably going to get heavily relied on. That's going to be a given. I think he's going to be more heavily relied on in this game than he was in the first one. But no, I believe that it's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this game. I really got nothing more to add. So, Anthony, I'll give it to you. So, I got the Steelers winning.
Yeah. What to watch for? The Ravens were able to run all over Pittsburgh earlier this month, but Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins are both going to miss the rematch as they are both on the reserve/COVID-19 list. And the Steelers' pressure and ability to make Robert Griffin III, who will start in place of Lamar Jackson, who's also on the list, uncomfortable, are very effective. Look for them to dial it up. Bold prediction, Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger will throw 4 touchdown passes. Since 2013, he is 4-1 against the Ravens at Heinz Field, throwing 13 touchdowns and 3 interceptions with a passer rating of 104. And in Baltimore's 4 losses this season, the defense has given up 10 touchdown passes and recorded only 1 interception. Stat to know, the Steelers are the 14th team since the 16-game schedule was introduced in 1978 to start with a 10-0 record. And only one of those teams finished with fewer than 13 wins. The 2015 New England Patriots went 12-4. Pittsburgh can clinch a playoff spot with a victory tomorrow, with a victory on Tuesday, and losses by both the Las Vegas Raiders and the Miami Dolphins tomorrow. It would match the earliest clinching since the playoffs expanded to 12 teams in 1990, which is now 14 teams, but only one of the 6 teams that clinched a postseason spot in Week 12 went on to win the Super Bowl. That was the 1991 Washington Redskins. What to know for fantasy? Baltimore wide receiver Marquise Brown has seen his fantasy point total decline in each of his past 5 games. Betting nugget, Pittsburgh 8-2 against the spread this season, the best mark in the NFL. Pittsburgh, FPI favorite, 53.8%, now right around 54%. I'm going with Pittsburgh to win. My initial score was 34-31, but because of everything that's going on, I'm gonna take it down a bit. I'm gonna go 31-23, but I'm still going with Pittsburgh to win. So that's really all there is to say on that. So that will put the bow on this Week 12 edition of NFL Saturday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in, and we will be back with you Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, right back here on the Tone 25 for Ridiculously Raw. We'll review Monday Night Raw, and of course my Tony's take on 205 Live and Impact Wrestling. Wednesday we will have Wednesday Night Mayhem, biggest AEW Dynamite of maybe in history, including the biggest match in Dynamite history, the AEW World Heavyweight Championship on the line, Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega. That is going to be a knockdown, drag-out affair, and we cannot wait to have it. We'll also get into NXT as well. Thursday, College Football Thursday, we'll get into the games going down for next week. Friday, Cerebral Smack Talk. We'll be reviewing Friday Night SmackDown and previewing NXT TakeOver War Games as well. And then 1 week from tonight, we'll be right back here for another edition of NFL Saturday. And not many exciting games on the docket. We do have some. We have the Cleveland Browns against the Tennessee Titans. That could be a good one. The Los Angeles Rams against the Arizona Cardinals. That's a good one there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't really see any real exciting games, to say the very least. So not that exciting of a week, if I'm going to be honest with you. But we'll have to wait and see. But the only two games that stand out are Cleveland and Tennessee, and Rams and Arizona. Maybe Indy and Houston, maybe, but that's pretty much all there is. You know, New England and the Chargers, maybe Philly and Green Bay, but that's pretty much it. So we'll get into that next week anyway, and then next Sunday or whenever we'll get into our recap of Takeover War Games. So all right, so that's it. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, it's Anthony Florio here, signing off from my elite panel as always. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, Michael Bullock, Dee Woodson, and always and forever Derek Forever. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up watching for style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed rest of your weekend. And until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, you've been watching Week 12 of Strictly Sports NFL Saturday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.